Pregame.com.
I'm Vegas Runner, here with Bryan Leonard. Time to talk some NFL. Dallas at San Fran. Dallas opened a 3-point favorite, total 41.5. Dallas still a 3-point favorite, totals jumped up to 42.5. Cantor opened this game up at a pick'em when they put their lines up for the whole year. Hilton opened up Dallas at -1. We're now looking at Dallas as a 3-point road favorite. This is actually my best bet for our videos this week, and I love the Niners at home. I really do. I think this line should be closer to a pick'em. So you're giving me 3 points with San Fran against a Dallas team who's on their second straight road game. You know, San Fran's been at home. They played Seattle at home. They're at home again. The way Dallas lost at the New York Jets, big emotional game.
Right.
You know, all the hype going in, the 9/11 ceremonies, and then the way they lost that game at the end. Now they have to travel and play San Fran, another road game. I just think this line is based more on perception than anything else, especially with the injuries in the secondary with Dallas. They were weak anyway defensively. And I know Rob Ryan's there, but you can't turn around a defense in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I agree. And their best receiver, Des Bryant's hurt. He hasn't practiced all week. With Tony Romo at quarterback the last 2 years, Dallas is 1-6 straight up. I went back and I looked how San Francisco has done as a home dog the last couple of years. Home dog twice the last 2 years. The two teams they played were the teams that had played the previous year in the Super Bowl. They were a home dog 2 years ago after Arizona went to the Super Bowl. They were a home dog last year after New Orleans went to the Super Bowl. So now you're putting them in the same point spread range with Dallas. I don't believe Dallas was in the Super Bowl last year.
No, absolutely not. Not with Romo making those great decisions at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I know people are always just saying last year it was Kitna. It was Kitna. If my memory serves me correctly, when Romo got knocked out, they were behind in that game, and they were on the verge of being 1-5 at that point. So he wasn't really giving them a great, season up until he got knocked out. Right. So I think, all that talk about, it's a new season, now we have Romo healthy. I don't think, it means they're going to be an improved team. I say this, when this season's over, I bet anybody I'll make this wager that San Fran has a better record than the Dallas Cowboys at the end of the year, with San Fran's 32nd toughest schedule in all of football.
Well, if you're going to make that, you have to realize the divisions that they're in. The Dallas is in a tougher division.
Exactly.
So you got that in your pocket right there.
Exactly.
Get it.
They're not all as sharp as you. You may not take that bet. I'm hoping someone jumps. I already got a 1-0 lead.
There you go. When you're taking a look at how they're going to approach this game, San Francisco was, I believe, 6th against the run last year. And they only 37 yards, no points in the first half against Seattle. And a lot of times I'll be talking about first half numbers, because once the game goes in the second half and the team gets a big lead, you see weird things. And they had a big lead last week against Seattle, so you saw a lot of desperation out of the Seahawks last week. So I don't really count those stats. But yeah, with Dallas right now, they're 6-14 straight up in games decided by 7 or less. Now, is that just bad luck, or is that teams that don't know how to win? I think it's more teams don't know how to win, because you watch Dallas, they seem to blow every game that they're in. It's a choking situation.
It's totally choking.
Yeah, and here they are with the line at 3.
I mean, if it happens once, twice, you say maybe, lack of experience.
Right.
But when it's that telling that it's going to happen every time it's a big game, and you're just waiting for it to happen, and you're not disappointed, I mean, it's choke. There's no other way to say it. I mean, and I was growing up a Dallas fan for a long time because I was in Philly and rooting against the Philly teams when people are betting into you and taking the Philly teams. I'll look at it this way. Bottom line is this. Harbaugh is a great addition to San Fran. I think I loved right when he came in, what did he do? He said, Alex Smith is my #1 guy. That eliminated any quarterback controversy right there. Whether the fans may have hated Alex Smith, wanted him to go, it didn't matter. Harbaugh went in there and said, this is what it's going to be. Let's put that controversy to the side. I think that was the smartest thing he did. More importantly, you have a team like San Fran who does that perfect West Coast style offense that more or less depends on yards after catch. They were number one last year in the NFL. I think they have the pieces to do the exact same thing this year. Their yards after catch. That's the kind of offense they run. That's what Harbaugh did in Stanford. That's why Luck's numbers, even though, he's talking about Heisman and this and that, Harbaugh kept him under control early. It was a lot of the yards after the catch with his offensive system. He came in and inherited a San Francisco team that was more or less already built around that same philosophy. So I don't think the change is as monumental as it is for other teams who are seeing a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, and now all of a sudden a new system. Harbaugh's more or less taken over a system that was created for that West Coast type offense. So I don't think the transition is going to be, a bad thing. I think he's taken over where Singletary left off, and we're just going to see San Fran continue to improve. I don't know. I like this team. 4 of their starters on the offensive line are under 30 years old. If they lock them in the contracts and you build some unity there, and Alex Smith just doesn't turn the ball over, he's not going to be a game changer, but if he could manage the game, you have Frank Gore. I like this team. You got a great tight end. You have some receivers. I don't know. I mean, if Crabtree was 100%, I'd love him even more going into this week to just eat Dallas's secondary alive. But I still believe that with Braylon Edwards and Vernon Davis and Frank Gore coming out of the backfield, it's enough weapons, even with a 75% Crabtree, to apply enough pressure and beat this Dallas team.
I'm not completely sold on the San Francisco offense, but they are playing against a defense from Dallas who is really banged up right now. What I do like is, as I talked about, San Francisco stops the run. If Dallas can't run the ball, that puts the hands on the quarterback, taking care of the ball.
That's what I like to see.
And his best receiver is hurt. So, it's very similar to the situation last week with Kansas City. And we saw what a mediocre Buffalo defense did when they were able to basically sell out to the run and force the quarterback to make the decisions. And even though Romo's not hurt, like the quarterback Castle is for Kansas City,
right,
it's still a situation where, if you're Tony Romo, and he's been pretty lucky with the women he's dated, but that's about it. Lucky in love, not so lucky on the field.
On the field, yeah.
And if he starts making these mistakes, it's got to pop up in his head,
I always said this. I know a couple guys have slipped through the cracks. And we've seen some guys get picked up in the 5th round, 6th round that have gone on to be stars. But if you look at Romo's career, coming out of high school, then where he went to college, he wasn't bred to be Joe Montana. I mean, were so many people wrong with his talent at those levels, that he didn't play for the top Division I teams in college football? I don't think so. I think he was just being so hyped up, when he came in for Bledsoe, and he was able to sling the ball around because he has a strong arm. But there's a difference between having a powerful arm and having an efficient arm. And in the NFL, I think you need a little bit of both because everyone's fast out there. In college, if you have a rocket for an arm and a good, quick receiver, you could get the ball to him. But in the NFL, you got linebackers that could chase down wide receivers. So, the quick arm isn't just going to get it done. You got to be efficient and be able to get the ball into the receiver's hands. And I don't think Romo's done that great of a job here. San Fran's score last week was extremely misleading. They went 1-5 in the red zone. Or that could have been blowout city against Seattle.
Right.
I really think there's some value on San Fran as a home dog.
Yeah, nobody really talks about San Francisco. In fact, they don't talk a whole lot about that whole division.
No.
I think the Rams probably get more.
Oh, sure. Especially coming in with Bradford and Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
That was where the hype was, the emergence of St. Louis to take over that division.
Yeah, the Dallas, obviously, the so-called America's team, they're much more popular by the general public, and I think that's why the line is a little bit higher. I also made a pick 'em in this game. I was really surprised by if it gets to be 3.5, I'll be on San Francisco for sure, and I'll probably be on them anyway, some sort of the other. But Yeah, it's just a situation here where I think there's a ton of value on San Francisco, a team that's really under the radar.
I'm glad you agree with me. That's my best bet for this weekend. I was ready to step up and say, let me step out on a limb here and say San Fran money line. But like Brian said, we may see 3.5 with this one. This is a late game, remember. It's not the Sunday night bailout, but it is a later game. So there will be a lot of money bet on Dallas by the betting public. We know the betting public outweighs sharp money when it comes to NFL. And with 90% of the money plus bet Sundays coming from recreational bettors, they can influence these numbers more than a lot of people think. I say sit back, see if you could get 3.5 here. If not, I'm going to step up and bet it anyway. San Fran's my best bet of the week. I'm glad this guy doesn't disagree with me. We're going to be back with his best bet in what could very well be the game of the week.